I have a question for you. What's in Monster Energy? If you don't know, that's okay, because I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. I've been consuming Monsters and energy drinks in general since I was a kid. And besides caffeine, I have no idea what I'm putting in my body. I mean, sure, I can read the ingredients profile on the back, but not only is it way above my reading level, I'm not actually comprehending anything I'm reading. Like, for example, niacinamide. Do you know what that is? I don't. It could be rusting my insides right now, but I'd never know, considering I'm too lazy to research it. And at the same time, I know I'm not alone on this. Since the early 2000s, energy drinks have received a bad reputation, ranging from concerns about their caffeine content to people claiming ill health effects post-consumption. At this point, it's common knowledge that Monster and the energy drink industry at large have people skeptical about their products. But I just want to know one thing. Should people be skeptical about Monster? Is there something in energy drinks that's so bad for you? Or is drinking Monster no different than having a few cups of coffee? Today, we're going to pull back the curtain to see how Monster was invented, why they're hated by some, and whether or not that hate is warranted. Our story begins with a juice company. One you may have heard of actually, Hansen's Natural, which is insane since I've seen that company my whole life, but would have never thought they invented Monster. But sure enough, Monster grew from the deep roots of a juice company. The history of Hansen's Natural traces back to 1935, when Hubert Hansen, with the help of his 3 sons, started a fresh juice business in California called Hansen's Fruit and Vegetable Juices. They set up shop in Los Angeles and peddled their delicious, unpasteurized fruit juices to Hollywood film studios. Their line of juices included orange, carrot, apple, strawberry, and banana, as well as different blends. But selling juice to film studios was just the beginning for Hansen's. Throughout the 1930s, Hubert and his 3 sons worked tirelessly. They quickly built up a distribution network, improved their product, and in time became one of the premier juice suppliers in Southern California. But they didn't stop there. In 1946, they opened a new manufacturing plant in Los Angeles to help meet the growing demand for their product. Each week, they brewed over 35,000 gallons of fresh juice, with most of it staying in Southern California awaiting distribution. But some of it went to a marketing company in Illinois who helped get their products in other countries. By the 1940s, Hansen's was firmly established in the West, with a growing presence on the East Coast and Hawaii. But in 1951, the Hansen family faced a tough year when founder Hubert Hansen passed away, leaving his 3 sons in charge of the company. And while they did a fine job, it was Hubert's grandson Tim who took the Hansen name to the next level. In 1977, Tim Hansen started his own separate fruit juice business, Hansen Foods Incorporated. They specialized in pasteurized, shelf-stable juices and natural sodas. The natural sodas, which used all natural ingredients, sold so well, Tim created a division of Hansen's Foods in 1978 called Hansen's Natural Sodas. And by the mid-1980s, their sales topped an estimated $50 million. But even though their sales were in the multi-millions, it still wasn't enough to repay financing for a new factory. So in 1988, they filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, which I know sounds like a horrible turn of events considering how well they were doing, but it's this course of action that put them on the path to creating their billion-dollar product. On July 27, 1992, Hansen's was acquired by an investment group. Part of that investment group was a man named Rodney Sachs, who became their new CEO. And even though they were losing money at the time, he felt the brand's longevity and name recognition would be worth banking on. Post-acquisition, they seemed to evidence a turnaround. CEO Rodney Sachs took them public that same year, listing them on the NASDAQ, and revenue rose to over $21 million. But it wasn't until 1997 that they found their footing and saw a jump in sales. This was due to their new line called Functionals. Packaged in skinny 8-ounce cans, Hansen's new line of energy drinks retailed for about $2, offering an immediate boost whenever you need it the most. By the following year in 1998, their Functionals line accounted for 1/4 of Hansen's sales, which climbed to an all-time high at over $54 million. So I'm sure you can see where this is going. Hansen's creates a line of energy drinks, they become their best-selling product. The next step is logical. Invent Monster and dive headfirst into the burgeoning energy drink industry. But it wasn't quite that simple, since the one thing I didn't realize about Monster was Hansen's created it purely out of necessity. Not because they wanted to, but so they wouldn't be left in the dust of Red Bull and Rockstar. In 1997, Red Bull made their US debut, grabbing a sizable chunk of the market. So Hansen's responded by creating their own line of natural energy drinks, capturing an initial 50% share of the US market. So for a little while, they were neck and neck. But by the 2000s, the energy drink industry exploded. Red Bull now held 75% of the US market, along with 50 plus other brands trying to hop on the bandwagon. But at this point, Hansen's market share was just over 8%. The battle grew even more intense after Rockstar launched their 16-ounce cans in 2001 and sold them for the same price as Red Bull, really throwing a monkey wrench into the industry. Hansen's knew they had to do something, and fast. After sitting down with various marketing and branding experts, they came to a sad but helpful conclusion. They realized the Hansen brand itself was inconsistent with and just plain wrong for the energy drink market, and knew they could no longer continue on as Hansen's, at least in the energy drink industry. So in 2002, they officially launched Monster, and slowly but surely began their rise to the top. By 2012, Hansen's had truly created a monster, one so big it swallowed their company whole, but not in a bad way. On January 5th, 2012, Hansen's announced they'd officially changed their name to Monster Beverage Corporation. The shareholders felt it made more sense for the company name to reflect their most lucrative product. That was and still is Monster, by a long shot. They began trading under the new ticker MNST and issued an additional 120 million shares of stock, doubling the number of available shares. And it's been a steady increase ever since. But the biggest reason Monster was able to grow so fast was due to how well they identified their target customer. And it wasn't people who were concerned with natural, but rather people who took risks, partied all night, had tattoos, partook in extreme sports, and lived life on the edge. Monster helped these rule-breaking hooligans take their activities to the next level, sponsoring everything from skateboarding to ultimate fighting. But even though sponsoring extreme sports is a huge source of revenue for Monster, I believe that association is part of what helps people view it as a dangerous drink. Not to mention this lady's presentation, where she explains how the Monster logo is actually 666. And over the years, they've released products like the BFC, or the Big Effing Can, which is still the biggest energy drink I've ever seen. And I'm sure that's made people mad, as some people get furious at the notion of glorifying caffeine consumption. But at the same time, I get it. Monster is supposed to be a little edgy and complement an edgy lifestyle. I just think that a combination of 3 factors kinda psych people out. Number 1 being, it's new. Energy drinks haven't been around for that long. Even Red Bull has only been around since the 80s, and people just tend to be wary of new things. Number 2, concerned about the ingredients. Just the way Monster markets themselves, they try to make it sound like they use the most extreme ingredients that the average person couldn't handle. Number 3, the concept of change. What I mean is, people tend to get concerned or at least very skeptical when you ingest something that changes your energy level or mood, with the implication being, this must be bad for me. But are they that bad for you? Well, all we can really do is compare it to coffee, since that always seems to be the argument for those against energy drinks. Just have a coffee instead. But let's see how they really stack up. We'll start with the caffeine. The FDA says 400 milligrams of caffeine per day should be your max, so we'll keep that in mind as we're comparing. So a standard 16-ounce Monster has 160 milligrams of caffeine, which sounds like a lot, and a cup of coffee has 95 milligrams of caffeine. So just in terms of caffeine, coffee wins, right? Yes, but here's where the interesting part comes in. A cup is only 8 ounces, which is a tiny amount. And whenever I see people consuming coffee, I swear it's always over 8 ounces. So when it comes to caffeine, a single Monster does have more than coffee, but that's also assuming you're only drinking 8 ounces of coffee. Next category is sugar, and a regular 16-ounce Monster has a lot of sugar, 54 grams to be exact. But black coffee has exactly 0 grams of sugar. So again, coffee wins. But the problem again comes up of most people don't drink black coffee. They drink coffee with lots of creamer, syrups, toppings. Those frappuccinos from Starbucks have an identical amount of sugar and are often higher in calories. So coffee by itself for sure has a lot less sugar than a Monster. It's just most people drink their coffee with added sugar. But one big difference Monster has that coffee doesn't is the sodium. And this is where they differ the most, because a full Monster has 370 milligrams of sodium, while coffee has just 5 milligrams. The last category to compare coffee and Monster on is vitamins. But what's funny is, when researching the vitamins in coffee and Monster, I found a ton of overlap. It seems the biggest thing Monster has that coffee doesn't in terms of vitamins is a lot of B12 and preservatives. Oh, and you know that one ingredient, niacinamide, that I said might be rusting my insides? Turns out it's a form of B3 vitamins, so I don't think that's gonna happen, but I could be wrong. And I have just one question for you. Do you drink energy drinks? Let me know down in the comments below and check out this next video. Thank you for watching.